What if the people of Ireland and Scotland shared an ancient connection with the desert tribes of North Africa? At first it sounds impossible. After all, the Celtic world is often pictured as windswept green hills, stone circles, and misty coastlines, while the Berbers are the proud, sun-hardened people of the Sahara, the Atlas Mountains, and the Mediterranean coasts of Morocco, Algeria, and beyond. And yet, science is revealing something incredible. Buried in their DNA, these two cultures, separated by thousands of miles and seemingly opposite worlds, share a surprising genetic link. The Celts of Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and Brittany are known for their warrior traditions, their music, and their stubborn independence. The Berbers, or Amazigh as they call themselves, are one of the oldest indigenous peoples of North Africa, with a history stretching back thousands of years before the pyramids. These two peoples are separated by geography, climate, and culture. But the deeper scientists dig, the more they find traces of the same ancient migrations in both. To understand this link, we have to go back, way back. Around 12,000 years ago, the Ice Age was ending. Sea levels rose, climates shifted, and human populations began to move fast. Some of those migrations went north into Europe, giving rise to the ancestors of the Celts. Others went south and west into North Africa, blending with the early Amazigh populations. But here's the twist. New DNA studies suggest there wasn't just one-way migration. For thousands of years, the Mediterranean wasn't a wall, it was a bridge. Long before the Roman Empire, long before Greek traders, there were people crossing the Mediterranean in small boats, hugging coastlines, trading goods, and, without knowing it, trading DNA. This wasn't just random travel. We're talking about sustained contact over centuries, where farming techniques, tools, and even languages may have been exchanged. One genetic study of ancient Iberian remains shows markers linked to both North African Berbers and early Celtic populations. And because Iberia, modern Spain and Portugal, sits right between the two worlds, it may have been the key meeting point. Around 4,500 years ago, a mysterious culture called the Bell Beaker people appeared in Europe. They're famous for their pottery, their advanced metalwork, and, most importantly, their massive migrations. DNA analysis of Bell Beaker burials in both Europe and North Africa shows genetic signatures linking them to each other, and to the ancestors of both Celts and Berbers. It's as if these people were ancient messengers carrying genes and culture across thousands of miles, leaving pieces of themselves in both the Emerald Isles of the north and the Golden Dunes of the south. One of the strongest clues to this link is in the Y chromosome haplogroups, the genetic markers passed from father to son. Among Celtic populations, particularly in Ireland and Scotland, haplogroup R1b dominates. Guess what? Certain Berber groups, especially in the Atlas Mountains, also carry a high percentage of R1b, more than almost any other African population. This doesn't mean the Berbers are Celtic or the Celts are Berber. It means both peoples likely share a distant common ancestor who lived thousands of years ago, before history was even written. Sometimes, oral tradition preserves echoes of real history. In Berber folklore, there are tales of pale-skinned strangers arriving from across the sea. In Celtic mythology, there are stories of mysterious seafaring peoples, like the Milesians in Irish legend, who came from a faraway southern land. Of course, myths are not history, but they often carry a grain of truth. And when those myths match the genetic evidence, they start to look less like fairy tales, and more like ancestral memory. Here's where it gets even stranger. Berber languages and Celtic languages are not closely related. But, they actually share certain ancient root words, especially for things like navigation, the sea, and metalwork. Some linguists think this might be the echo of a prehistoric trade language spoken by Mediterranean peoples before the big language families, like Indo-European, took over. So why does this matter? Well, it's because it reminds us that human history is not a straight line. We are not isolated islands. Every culture, no matter how unique, is part of a massive interconnected web of migrations, exchanges, and shared ancestry. The green hills of Ireland and the deserts of Morocco might look like different worlds, but beneath the surface, their peoples are cousins. Part of the reason this genetic connection surprises people is because we tend to think in modern borders. North Africa feels far away from Northern Europe. But in the ancient world, the sea connected people far faster than overland travel. Add to that thousands of years of new migrations, invasions, and cultural changes, and it's easy for that early shared ancestry to get buried under layers of history. Next time you see a Celtic knot or hear Berber drumming, remember, somewhere far back in time, their ancestors may have met, shared food, traded goods, maybe even married, and set in motion a chain of life that still flows in human veins today. The Celts and the Berbers, two peoples, two worlds, and one surprising thread of DNA that refuses to be forgotten.